The last time the NOVAR Verizon Cup Series hit the track, Shane Harden took his second victory of the season and his second win at Darlington, thus increasing his points lead over Ike James Jr. This weekend has basically been known as Overtime Palooza due to the fact that 5 of the 6 races this weekend so far have been forced into overtime, all of them which ending in just one overtime period. The only race that did not go into overtime was the Gatorade Series of events, which despite seeing 19 cautions in total, saw Matthew Hartford take the checkered flag after his 150-lap race. The GameStop Truck Series event saw John Hoover take the checkered flag after passing Leslie Stewart on the final lap to get the victory in that race. The Razor Aero Series race saw Andrew Nargan hold off a charge in overtime to take the victory in that one. The Kellogg's Northeast race saw Cody Preston, despite seeing a second place battle coming to the line, he was able just to outrun that battle for second to get the win at the Kellogg's Northeast. At Ohio, at Las Vegas was probably the most dramatic of all the overtime races. Colin Sorensen ended up edging out Wally Johnson by just 1/1000th of a second to take his second victory of the season. And Kaj Safari ends up winning his overtime race at the Rockingham Speedway in the United Kingdom after passing Saeed Komodari on the final lap to get his victory at the Rockingham Speedway. This race is traditionally held in late August, however, due to poor ratings from that date, the track officials have decided to move it to earlier in the season. So just to have a little note, it will be running about a couple of weeks prior to the Indy 500. So it is a 2.5 mile actual squared oval, 100 laps, 250 miles. Last year's defending winner Shane Nargan won after Chadler Blake had pit road miscues late in the race, and the first race was held in 1991. So your Aflac pullover winner here in Indianapolis is Shane Harden, who comes off that victory at Darlington, winning the pole here. On his outside is Casey Lester in car number 12. Starting in ninth is Walter YOUTHAN, car number 8. Casey Littinger, one of the favorites going into this weekend to win the event, alongside CJ Gordon, his teammate. There you see Shane Harden in the 32. He starts 22nd, your winner. Ethan Littinger in the 51 is his first provisional in the grid. He starts 27th. And going down the list, Todd Piper, who's just had a dismal season, car number 26, he starts 33rd. And rounding up the field is Logan Chin and Shane Bliss. So Harden leads the field down to the green flag. Casey Lester in the 12 on his outside. Harden, who won last week's event at Darlington, is now going to try to get Lester on the start there, but looks like Harden's going to have the preferred line going into the south chute, as Chandler Blake in car number 15 will also hold the bottom there. As Blake in the 15, he's going to try to get to the bottom. Blake, who dominated last year's event before having a tire issue, cost him the win in that race. Blake's already on the tail of the 59 of Harden, as Blake is just right now on the back bumper of that 59 of Harden. Blake in the 15 is going to try to get to the bottom, as you see Casey Lester is actually falling back. They're going to be 3 wide, and Lester nearly hit the wall down coming to the north chute. It appears that unless Blake actually seriously gets a run here, Harden will lead the first lap, and it will appear that car number 59 of Shane Harden will lead the first lap here at Indianapolis. Blake, meanwhile, is still not holding back, as just a little while later, Blake would get his nose under the 50, would get his car number 15 under the 59 of Shane Harden, and Blake would take the lead away from car number 59 of Shane Harden. So Blake is now back up front after he led the majority of last year's event, and basically just ran away with that race until a tire issue cost him the win in that one, as I mentioned before. Blake so far is still holding his line, but we would have our first caution come out on lap number 3. Scott Howard in car number 25 runs into Tobias Newbridge. Newbridge gets on his side, and Thomas Lewis also gets collected. The 25 and 16 would go out. The 96 would continue on going. We had a cycle of green flag stops under caution, and Shane Harden retook the lead back. However, Ease Racing driver Jan Honori was right now back in second, as there you see Casey Lester in car number 12. He's hanging in there third, and Damon Scott, Lester's teammate, is right behind him. Honori is going to try to go for the lead, apparently gets the nose, and her 01 Chevrolet gets into the 59 of Harden. However, that's going to open the door for Casey Lester. Damon Scott, meanwhile, is just going to go behind the 01, hopefully getting a run down to the bottom. However, Harden will win the battle for the lead temporarily as of now, but Honori tries to power in there and will get the nose under. Damon Scott trying to make it 3 wide, as that seems a little bit risky there. The 18 of Scott is going to get the nose under there, as it's going to be a 3 wide coming to the line, but it will appear that the 01 will try to get to the line. Looks like Honori will hang on to that bottom spot and hang on to the lead basically there, as the 18 of Damon Scott is going to try again. However, he is going to almost loses a spot to Casey Lester in the 12. Lester runs it up the track as looks like Scott settles in for the second spot. We would have a next caution come up on lap number 9. Scott Johnson and Casey Hutter would get together, and that would send the 19 around as they see Kimmel going around, and we couldn't really see the rest of that, so we got another ranking for that. Looks like Casey Hutter just washed up into the 50 of Scott Johnson, and then Jason Duke just runs into Jason Duke. Alan Kimmel in the 88, nowhere to go. Keith Hales, Chandler Blake, Scott Harper, Shane Nargan, last year's winner, Jamie Scott A, are all also involved. As here's what happened in the back. Eddie Johns just turns Tobias Newbridge around for car number 96. So Newbridge not having the start to his first race here in Indianapolis. Cameron Brooks, car number 33, was leading on the restart. Apparently got damaged from, I guess, probably that incident and stayed out. Walter Youth in car number 8 in second. Matt Campbell in the 28 is in third. And then Eddie Johns in the 55 is in fourth. As I believe those are the cars that did not stop. As Youth in the 8 will already try to go to the bottom and will, I believe, easily take the lead away from car number 33 of Cam Brooks. Brooks, who's really not had the year that many people expected, as ever since the team switched to Dodge, Brooks has kind of struggled a little bit. However, he's not struggled as badly as we all anticipated, as the 28 of Hamlin's trying to go to the bottom of that 33 car, as there you see Jay Honori is going to be following behind in that number, following the 28 behind, and Honori is going to try to make it 3 wide for the lead. However, just a lap later, Shane Harden would run into Logan Chin, and that would bring our next caution, lap 14. Cody Wyke and Blake Battagliana go down the track. Wyke makes it back up safely. However, Battagliana is not as lucky. Gets into KYRA YOUTHAN there. So here's what happened from Todd Piper's perspective. Piper gets turned around. He spins up, slides back up, gets into Stephen Volk, Casey Littinger. I think Max Rapon got a piece of that. Scott Harper gets involved again. As here's from KYRA YOUTHAN's perspective. Looks like Wyke merges back up into the wall, and then looks like Ethan Littinger might have gotten a piece there in the 51, as KYRA YOUTHAN in the 51 also got a piece there. Shane Harden would end up hitting on this lap, and they had concerns about something with the transmission. They checked under the hood, and they found out that issue was terminal. So as a result, Shane Harden, your points leader going into this weekend, already having problems, and he will go out of the race and finish 33rd. Casey Lester in car number 12 would lead on this restart, with CG Gordon car number 48 in second. DM Racing has basically been one of the strongest teams in recent memory here in Indianapolis, as they have been producing the dominant cars, or actually winning the races, as they did so in 2009 and 2011, and also in 2012. As down the back straightaway, actually in 2013, excuse me, down the back straightaway, it appears that Gordon will not be able to make a charge. We have our third caution on lap 19, as I don't know why this was a caution, as Mike Hogan gets spun sideways by Scott Johnson and Walter Youthan. Both of them keep on going with nobody else being collected whatsoever. Ethan Littinger in car number 51 would lead on this restart. Jay Honori in car number 01 will restart in second. David Scott in car number 18 is in third, as Jason Duke, car number 66. Looks like the 01 and 51 got a really good start. Scott in the 18 just didn't really get going there, as that basically held up the entire outside line. Logan Chin, the 72, would basically be a problem, as Chin trying to give the high line to everybody. Instead, they would just try to be running him over on the inside line, as it doesn't appear he tried to give the inside line back, but I think he's just holding up everybody on the outside line, as everybody was trying to use the outside line. Jaden Roy, meanwhile, was trying to take the lead back from Ethan Littinger, as the 01 of Lester. Oh, Damon Scott and Littinger almost made contact there. However, both of them save it, and then Damon Scott almost gets turned head on into the wall by Jason Duke there, as meanwhile Logan Chin's antics would cause another caution. Casey Lester would get into the back of Max Rapon, and that would send him sideways, almost in a similar fashion to how Max Rapon got turned around. On the restart here, Tobias Newbridge, who started off badly here in Indianapolis here today, is now leading the race, although his car's basically crippled, so he's not going to hold that lead for long. But right now he's doing it so well against Shane Bliss's car number 42, another DM car, as I mentioned. Bliss, I believe, won the 2013 race here, as Casey Hutter in the 19, another damaged car, is going to be on the outside. Bliss easily takes the lead away from Newbridge, as Shane Bliss, Casey Lester, and George Davids in car number 37 are also going to be battling for the lead. Davids in the 37 initially ran the 33 until the 2009 season, and then once his contract dispute, I think he actually ran the 33 until like the 2010 season, and actually was noteworthy for his Daytona 250 performance in 2010, where he finished, I believe, second in that race to the eventual driver that replaced him, Cameron Brooks. Shane Bliss, meanwhile, would take the lead away from car number 12, Casey Lester. George Davids in car number 37. Davids, who kind of shown some promise, but it's not really there. Bliss would lead them back to the caution flag, which if you saw closely, there was a caution flag, as we're going to see why, as you're going to see a little bit of smoke coming into turn number 2, and there it is right there, as we're going to see what happened. Gordon Billard in turn number 91 gets turned by KYRA YOUTHAN. Billard hits the inside wall, gets back onto YOUTHAN, and Warwick, Austin Warwick in the 3 was also collected as well. So we'll have to see another angle. YOUTHAN gets turned by, Billard gets turned by YOUTHAN, and then comes back, gets YOUTHAN and Warwick as well. So Austin Warwick just being the innocent victim there in car number 3. So on the restart, Shane Bliss in car number 42 led on the restart with Jay Honore in second, as Casey Huto and Logan Chin are lap cars. Cody White trying to use Huto as advantage, but that might turn out to be a huge disadvantage for Cody White from the 22, as they're going to come down the back straightaway. Here is this unique camera. Casey Huto, the leader of the race, gets turned upside down. Huto rolling down the back straightaway, and we'll get hit by more cars. There you see, I think that's Matt Hamlin, Blake Battaglietta, Cameron Brooks all collected. So a huge accident on the back straightaway, and that was not it, as it looks like Shane Bliss of the 42 was just turned around by, it does appear, by Scott Johnson. So the 42 will get it back going. Here's what happened. I think YOUTHAN was trying to get the lane open for Cody White, and then Huto just ran up the track. There you see, I believe Casey Lester also got a piece of that, and I believe he dropped out of the race because of that. Matt Campbell was also got a piece, as here's what happened from Matt Hamlin, as Hamlin was trying to get to the bottom line, and did indeed. Casey Lester in the 12 did get a piece. Blake Battaglietta and Cameron Brooks also got a piece of that as well. The 19, pretty much all the cars involved except for, I believe, Shane Bliss would drop out of the race. Ethan Littinger, car number 51, would lead on this restart on lap number 43. Mike Hogan, car number 17, is running in second. George Davis, car number 37, is in third. Hogan, who has struggled in the past 2 races, and it does seem to be a nice sight that the 17 is back up front, and Littinger in the 51 is currently holding a gap over that 17 car of Hogan. As Hogan, who's basically been the fastest car basically throughout the entire season, however, the results never really show it for car number 17. Although, and as that was especially proven during the past 2 weeks, Hogan was never really a factor at Daytona due to an accident. And then at Darlington, ran up front early on and almost gets taken out by Walter Green in the 39. Walter Green being a little bit aggressive here, as he just got by Hogan. That's for third, as George Davis in 37 is now up to second. Littinger, meanwhile, is back to the lead. However, Davids would unfortunately be taken out in our next caution lap 51. Jason Duke gets turned around. George Davids in the 37 would get there. Ray Landerson in the 78 comes by. Cody White in the 22 also gets hit as well, as our camera starts bugging out there. But here's what happened. Jason Duke gets hit into the wall. Eddie Johnson would get a piece of that as well. George Davis, who had a very promising run, now goes out of the race, as Cody White in the 22 slides down the track. He would also go out of the race as well. So tough break for Jason Duke and George Davis, but they would go out of the race. Walter Green, car number 39, would lead on the restart on lap number 55. Walter YOUTHAN, car number 8, was running in second. Chad Blake in the 15 was, I believe, damaged, and I believe he was somehow running in third. Max Rapana, car number 77, was running in 4th spot, as there you see it's 39 Walter Green. The 8 of Walter YOUTHAN will try to get to the lead here, as it might happen here, as the 8 of Walter YOUTHAN has the preferred line, and he will get the draft from that inside line and will take the lead away from car number 39 of Walter Green. So Walter YOUTHAN in the 8, who was only one of 2 drivers not in the Monster Energy Racing stable, and coincidentally was part of only one of 2 teams so far this year to win a race. Walter YOUTHAN, who won the race at Chicagoland, is now going to try to get his second win of the season and join Shane Horton in the club, with Harden being out of the way. He doesn't have to worry about Harden basically bearing him down. However, Walter Green in the 39 was bearing him down and would eventually retake the lead away from car number 8, as they see, looks like Green in the 39 will get the lead back. However, they had another car that was bearing down, and that was that 51 of Ethan Littinger. Littinger would eventually get by Walter Green, and now had sights set on the 8 of Walter YOUTHAN, and Ethan Littinger with relative ease gets by the 8 of Walter YOUTHAN, and Littinger would actually just start pulling away from this point and would start building up to about a 12-second lead, if I recall, but he would start building up to about a huge lead. Meanwhile, Eddie Johnson at 55 also closed down on the 8 of Walter YOUTHAN, and Eddie Johns would jump into the second spot, as Johns, who in the 55 has actually won here before, and I believe he won the 2002 race here. as there you see the gap between Littinger and Johns, and I believe the other spots between Anonori, Hogan, Brandon Green, and also Scott Johnson, the 58. So we would have green flag stop cycling around with about 20 laps to go. There we see our camera has issues there, and we actually have more issues with the camera right here. Ethan Littinger in the 51 would actually get out of the pits. He actually would pit with about 12 laps to go while everybody else was pitting around 20 to go. Littinger 51, he actually, Walter Youthan in the 8 has already pitted, and there you see the 8 of Walter Youthan. Youthan's just coming out of turn number 2. Littinger has to get back up to speed, and it does appear that the 51 will get back up to speed before the 8 passes him. So, and that might be a very critical move. However, and people thought it was actually an interesting battle, but the real interesting battle was actually for third between Eddie Johns, Mike Hogan, and Brandon Green. Brandon Green, who's basically been quiet throughout the entire race, is now trying to show some marks that he could probably get a top 3 finish here. But it doesn't appear that these 3 will be able to run down Walter Youthan or Ethan Littinger. As there you see Brandon Green in the 30. He's going to try to get under the 17 of Mike Hogan. Barely make contact there. However, that was basically irrelevant as Ethan Littinger in the 51 has been pulling away from car number 8 of Walter Youthan. As the cameras are being really bad here. The final lap is out. Ethan Littinger, who's pretty much on his way to his 4th straight top 10 finish, which I believe that's a first time since I believe 2008. Actually 2009, I believe, that has happened. Ethan Littinger, and also for Silver Green Racing, last year going into 2014, they never won at the Brickyard, and now they're on their way to winning their 2nd straight with Ethan Littinger, the rookie driver from Tallahassee, Florida. As now Littinger just got a couple more corners. He's got lap cars to deal with, but I don't think that might be a concern. Littinger in the 51 in only his 7th career start, and Littinger will be winning here at Indianapolis. Ethan Littinger scores his 1st career victory here at the Brickyard. Walter Youthan is in a distant 2nd. So Ethan Littinger dominates the 2nd half of this event to win here at Indianapolis for his 1st career win and Silver Green Racing's 2nd victory here at the Brickyard. Littinger led the final 40 laps en route to his victory, and that exit off of pit road with about 12 laps to go was very crucial in helping Littinger get the victory. Walter Youthan, car number 8, finishes in 2nd. Youthan, who almost took the lead away from Littinger. However, Littinger just got up to speed just in time, so Youthan will settle in for 2nd. Mike Hogan, despite having struggled the past 2 races, he finishes 3rd in car number 17. Eddie Johnson, car number 55, was unable to get Monster Energy Racing into the podium, I believe, for the first time. If I can date that back all the way back to Dennisville, it's only the 2nd time this season that has happened. But Eddie Johns brings home Monster Energy Racing's a top 5 finish, something that I believe they've done pretty much the majority of the season. Brandon Green, car number 30, had to settle in that battle for 3rd. He settles for 5th. Scott Johnson, car number 58, he finished in the 6th spot in car number 58. Anonori, car number 01, finishes in the 7th spot. She was 24 seconds back and 10 seconds back from Scott Johnson. Max Rapon, car number 77, finishes in the 8th spot, so a good run for car number 77 of Max Rapon. CJ Gordon, who came into this weekend 30 points, and with Harton dropping out of the race and finishing unofficially 33rd, Gordon will finish in 9th, as that will cut the points deficit once again, as Gordon will cut to about a 3-point deficit. I believe we'll have to check the standings about that. And Jake Carroll in car number 76 will round out the top 10. He finished 36 seconds back from the winner. And now let's take a look at your point standing. Shane Harden still retains the points lead despite dropping out very early in the race. But however, he only retains a 3-point gap over CJ Gordon, as those are the first 2 drivers to crack into the 200-point barrier. Walter Youthan in car number 8, he is 3rd, 11 points back of the lead, and then it's a good distance away from between Youthan and Hogan, as Mike Hogan is sitting 30 points back. And just to keep a little mini note to put off to the side, Shane Harden, Walter Youthan, Mike Hogan, and Alan Kimmel are the only 4 drivers so far this year to have qualified for every single race. As noteworthy for Harden and Youthan, and I believe this might apply to some of the drivers, and I believe out of the 3, I believe Alan Kimmel is the only one not to use a provisional while qualifying for every race. So if you think in logic, Kimmel is probably the only one that has qualified basically for every race, while Hardin, Youthan, and Hogan have basically used provisional. We'll have to check on that. But as it stands, Hardin, Youthan, Hogan, and Kimmel are the only 4 drivers that have qualified for every single race so far this year. As Ike J. Jr. car number 09, I believe he drops 3 spots to 5th. I believe he's being queued for this event. Ethan Littinger with his win gains 3 spots to 6th. Eddie Johns with a top 10 with a top 5 finish gains 1 spot. Jan Nori, despite finishing a couple of spots behind Johns, she ends up dropping a spot. KYRA Youthan was the big loser in the top 10. She drops 4 spots to 9th. And Max Rapon in car number 77 jumps his way into the top 10 to get 10th spots. He is 57 points back. And now let's take a look at 11 through 20. Chandler Blake is 61 points back. He sits in 11th. Casey Lester drops out of the top 10. He falls to 12th in the point standings. Scott Johnson gains 8 spots for his top 5. For his top 10 finish, he gains 8 spots to 13th. 14th is Casey Ito. He loses a spot to 14th. He is 80 points back. Jake Killen was one of our few big winners this weekend. He crawls 12 spots to 15th. Alan Kimmel, as I mentioned, was the other driver out of Walter Youthan, Shane Hardin, and Mike Hogan to qualify for all the races. He finished in 16th. He's in 16th in the point standings, 89 points back. Damon Scott gains 12 spots to 17th points. Our big winner this week is Walter Green, car number 39. He gains 18 spots to 18th. 19th is James Wilson Jr., who gets back into the top 20. He is 19th. And rounding out the top 20 is car number 56 of Chris Clark. He loses 5 spots to 20. And now let's take a look at our race recap. There were 8 cautions for 32 laps. Ethan Littinger was our lap leader. He led 56 of 100 laps, and that included the last 40. Brandon Green was our highest climber. He gained 33 spots to finish 5th. And there were 11 leaders for 19 lead changes, and the margin of victory was 4 seconds. So next week, the Verizon Cup Series, and only one of 2 events that will be running next week. The Verizon Cup Series will tackle the 4.8-mile Edmonton Endurance Course, while the NOVAR GameStop Truck Series will be racing at the Edmonton Airport. We'd like to congratulate Ethan Littinger on scoring his first career NOVAR Verizon Cup Series victory here at Indianapolis, and we will see you at the Edmonton Endurance Course.